Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal Part 170 based on novel. So let's start. Wang Lin's expression was strange as he looked down at his bag of holding. The bag also exuded a powerful sword intent along with an arrogant aura that was about to charge out. Little Lin Z, you still not letting your lord Shu out? Fmh. Let me tell you I'm badass now. Shu Ligua's overbearing voice came from the bag. The bag of holding trembled violently as if an force from ancient time was about to charge out. Just at the moment when this force reached a peak, Wang Lin's eyes were calm as he viciously hit the bag of holding. Shu Ligua's overbearing voice immediately weakened. Even the dense sword intent was suppressed and was unable to spread out. Oh! Little Lin Z, you still don't understand the situation. This lord don't blame you. This lord it not the little Shu Ligua I was before. This lord had inherited the ancient sword intent. Before he finished speaking, Wang Lin's hand formed a seal and pointed at the bag. This time Shu Ligua's voice suddenly stopped. Wang Lin frowned and calmly said noisy. His body charged directly toward the wasted planet before him. From far away, this planet was covered in blue. It seemed oceans occupied most of its surface. The vitality coming from it was very strong. Clearly there were a lot of mortals living there. Wang Lin's speed was very fast. He was like a meteor as he charged toward the planet. Because he was moving too fast, an elliptical light cone appeared around him. He pierced through space as he rushed into the planet. The atmosphere of this planet was thin and Wang Lin charged directly through it. When he arrived in the sky above the planet and looked down, he revealed a trace of confusion. This place was far too similar to planet Suzaku. It wasn't a similarity in appearance but the feeling and the aura. Wang Lin's divine sense spread out and scanned the planet. There were cultivators here, but the most powerful cultivator was only at the nascent soul stage. There wasn't even a single soul formation cultivator. He pondered for a bit. He decided to not look for a secret place but chose the highest mountain on the planet. Once he located the mountain, he flew there directly. Fengyun Peak was the highest peak on planet Qingling. Although the spiritual energy here was thin, it had a spectacular view. One could easily see the end of the world from the peak. It was also covered in mist, making it look like a celestial mountain. There were many cultivation families on planet Qingling. Their numbers were on par with the amount of mortal nations on this densely populated planet. Almost every mortal country had at least one or two cultivation families. This strange phenomenon had to do with the fact that this planet didn't have enough spiritual energy and had no soul formation cultivators. This Hengyun Peak belonged to the Zhong family, who had the most nascent soul cultivators. Normally, the nascent soul cultivators in the Zhong family, whose lifespans were almost up, would come here and enter closed-door cultivation to attempt to comprehend the heavens. Over time, the originally beautiful peak became bare for some unknown reason. Even the wind that came from the mountain became cold. On this day, the Zhong family member that had been stuck at the nascent soul stage the longest, the family head, Zhong Xinhai, walked out from the mountain with a body filled with death aura. Every cultivator whose life was about to end would go through this cycle. They would sit at the top of the Hengyun Peak and stare at the sky as their life slowly ran out. He could feel that his body was slowly weakening. His steps were slow and difficult as he walked toward the peak. At the top of the Hengyun Peak there was a large, stone platform. Just as Zhong Xinhai reached the peak, his eyes immediately narrowed. He looked at the person on the platform with his muddy gaze. This was a youth wearing white and his black hair flowed in the wind. His clothes were also being blown by the wind and were making flapping sounds. In Zhong Xinhai's eyes, it was as if this person doesn't exist. He couldn't detect anyone there with his divine sense, yet he could clearly see the person with his eyes. This strong contrast made it so that he couldn't help but take a few steps back. There was a trace of shock in his calm expression. The black-haired youth didn't turn around. He looked at the sunset over the horizon and calmly said, "This place is not bad." This simple sentence had no power within it, but when it landed in Zhong Xinhai's ears, it suddenly filled his frail body with vigor. It also suppressed his identity as the powerful head of the Zhong family. He subconsciously lowered his head and his eyes filled up with terror. This was the effect of an aura. This was something he knew about. When he met even mortal emperors, they would lower their heads due to his own aura. At this moment, this was happening to him. The only explanation was that he was like a mortal to this youth. Unfortunately, such a mountain was used by you guys as a graveyard. The black-haired youth shook his head and waved his right hand. The mountain immediately trembled and the death aura that had gathered here for countless years immediately vanished without a trace. The entire mountain seemed to gain new life, like when someone who had a long-term illness suddenly recovered. The mountain recovered immediately and seemed to be filled with life. Zhong Xinhai was startled as he stared at the scene before him and only recovered after a while. His face was filled with excitement. Without any hesitation, he knelt on the ground and respectfully said, "Junior Zhong Xianhai greet Senior. If Senior likes this Hangyun Peak, then Junior will immediately gift it to you." Hangyun Peak. This black-haired youth was Wang Lin. He turned around, looked at Zhong Xinhai, and slowly said, "Your lifespan is almost at its end. It would be difficult to change that even with my power." Zhong Xinhai let out a bitter smile and respectfully said, "Senior misunderstood me. Junior understands the will of heavens and does not seek help. To be able to meet a powerful cultivator like Senior before dying leaves Junior with no regrets. Not to mention this mountain, I'll even gift Senior this planet, Qingling, if Senior wants it." Wang Lin turned around and his right hand sent a ray of spiritual energy to the spot between Zhong Xinhai's brows. He gently said, "I can't change your life, but burning your own spiritual energy to extend your life by 10 years is something I can do." When he sent out that ray of spiritual energy, Wang Lin let out a sigh. This spell was something he could just barely use after seeing the third step. If he knew about this before, then Li Muwen wouldn't be taking shelter inside the heaven-defying bead. When the spell landed between Zhong Xinhai's eyebrows, his body trembled and he immediately felt vitality coming from the spiritual energy in his body. His face became red as he took a deep breath. He looked at Wang Lin and respectfully said, "Thank you, Senior. If Senior has any commands, Junior will do his best to carry them out." Someone who had become the Zhong family's head was not stupid. No one in this world would do this for nothing. Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal Part 173 based on novel. So let's start. What followed the voice was a devilish flame that covered the entire sky. The black flame emitted a heat that could burn one's origin soul, and it instantly covered the sky. It was as if the thin layer of clouds in the sky was eroded by the devilish flame and was filled with devilish energy. It was as if they only needed to gather the water within for an intense rainstorm to begin. Carrying a trace of rain, the flame moved with the wind and rushed toward the ground. The devilish energy around the ground became monstrous in an instant. If someone were watching from far away, they would see that the devilish energy had formed a huge phantom with a single horn. A purple-robed young man appeared on the head of the phantom. His eyes were giving off a bloodthirsty light and his black hair was floating behind him. He stepped on the phantom and then it rushed toward the ground. Wang Lin stood on the ground as he calmly looked up at the sky. He waved his right hand and put the broken handle into his bag. When the devilish phantom closed in, the young man on top looked down at Wang Lin and coldly said, "You're courting death." He didn't move, but the rain near him quickly condensed and rushed out. Rain formed arrows that penetrated through the air. They flew toward Wang Lin while creating a strange, whistling sound. The youth was at the illusory yin stage, and it was obvious that he wasn't new to this cultivation. Although he wasn't at the peak, he was still at the mid-stage. His cultivation could match the Thunder Daoist, and his devilish spells made him even more fierce. Even the Thunder Daoist wouldn't necessarily have the upper hand against him. The arrows formed by the rain contained a fierce killing intent. Wang Lin's eyes became cold and he retreated several steps. His hand reached out and bursts of thunder exploded forth. At the same time, balls of thunder appeared, and they were each connected by lightning. With a point of his finger, these balls of thunder charged toward the arrows. The moment the balls of thunder closed in on the arrows, they immediately exploded. The violent explosion caused the arrows to immediately disintegrate. The countless rain arrows all dissipated 100 feet before Wang Lin. The youth above the devilish phantom calmly and slowly said, "A little interesting." However, before he finished speaking, not only did Wang Lin not retreat, he stepped forward. He was already angry from being trapped inside the tunnel, and now he had met this youth that attacked with killing intent right away. It was as if he was so weak in everyone's eyes that they could attack him as they wished. It seems I have been too low-key in the All-Heaven star system. If the youth was at the corporeal yang stage, Wang Lin might have hesitated and chosen to retreat. However, he had killed illusory yin cultivators before, and he stepped directly toward the phantom. Using devilish spells before me, I have even battled a scattered devil. With one step, Wang Lin stepped into the air. He then raised his right hand and his origin soul became active. A large amount of thunder came from his body and quickly gathered in his right hand. A blue ball of thunder suddenly appeared, and it simply contained too much thunder. The moment it appeared, it caused the surroundings to change. This place was the Thunder Celestial Realm, so it was not lacking in thunder. The moment Wang Lin's ball of thunder appeared, strands of thunder appeared on the ground and even the sky seemed to be affected. Countless strands of thunder were attracted to the ball of thunder. Holding the ball of thunder, Wang Lin jumped forward and pushed the ball. The ball of thunder rushed directly toward the youth on the devilish phantom. The youth's expression slightly changed. Not only did the killing intent in his eyes not lessen, it became even stronger. His hand rapidly formed seals, and at the moment the ball of thunder closed in, he shouted, "Devil, devour." Two bloodthirsty devilish lights suddenly appeared on the originally blurry-looking devilish phantom. Then a crack appeared and became bigger and bigger before it devoured the ball of thunder. Such weak thunder isn't even qualified for me to use my devilish flame. The youth raised his right hand and all the rain gathered. The rain moved around inside his hand. In an instant, a long spear formed. It was formed by rain, but it seemed to be made of ink. The spear was black and seemed to be flowing. Then the youth waved his hand and a water curtain charged toward Wang Lin with dense devilish energy. Wang Lin was calm as he slapped his bag of holding and something appeared in his hand. It was the Celestial Mountain. The moment it appeared in his hand, it immediately increased in size until it was as big as a mountain. At the moment the water curtain arrived, Wang Lin pressed his right hand on the mountain with a mysterious light in his eyes. When he raised his hand, strands of the mountain's soul were pulled out as if they were drawing each other out. When Wang Lin's right hand completely lifted, the mountain's soul had turned into a ball of mist in his hand and was giving off an ancient aura. Wang Lin's body was like lighting. He was so fast that at the moment he moved, he caused a thunderous roar. Holding the mist in his hand, Wang Lin rushed out right when the water curtain was closing in. The water pierced into his body and immediately turned into countless drops of cold, devilish, water droplets that instantly surrounded Wang Lin. However, as soon as it surrounded Wang Lin, the mist in his hand gave off a rich celestial spiritual energy fluctuation that allowed Wang Lin to charge through the water curtain. Without pausing at all, he charged forward and pressed the mist toward the youth on the devilish phantom. The youth's expression sank the moment the mist appeared. He immediately threw the spear and it charged out like a dragon. The spear rushed through the air and penetrated the ball of mist. After Wang Lin threw the ball of mist, he didn't stop but rushed forward and shouted, "Scatter." The ball of mist suddenly spread out and swelled several times, becoming a dense mist that covered the entire spear. The youth's expression changed and was about to use a spell. Just at this moment, Wang Lin's eyes became cold and he shouted, "Thunder, explode." The ball of thunder devoured by the devilish phantom hadn't disintegrated, it was hiding. At the moment Wang Lin shouted, the powerful thunder exploded within the phantom's body. A blue light immediately appeared within the phantom. The light became bright and brighter before instantly reaching its limit. Finally, in a series of thunderous rumbles, countless bolts of thunder burst from the phantom's body. Its large, illusory body completely collapsed. The drastic change caused the youth's expression to become even more gloomy. At the breath before the phantom collapsed, the youth had already left the phantom's body. However, Wang Lin had already closed in. Wang Lin's shadow flashed and the celestial guard quickly stepped out. In the youth's eyes, it was as if Wang Lin had split into two. The celestial guard's entire body gave off a golden glow that flowed like water toward its right hand. At this moment, it seemed as if the celestial guard was holding the sun. One punch was thrown. Because Wang Lin's cultivation had reached the peak of the late stage of ascendant, it wasn't as easy as before to see that the celestial guard was hiding in his shadow. All of this happened in an extremely short period of time. It happened so fast that the youth didn't even have time to think. He didn't expect a mere peak late-stage ascendant cultivator to be able to create a ball of thunder this powerful and draw out the mountain's soul. What shocked him the most was the punch from the puppet. The storm formed by this punch was too powerful. Not only was the golden light blinding, even his origin soul felt pain when the light shined on him. This punch was the peak of the celestial guard's power. It was a punch that could shatter the world. It was incredibly fast and landed directly before the youth. The consecutive changes caught him completely unprepared. From the slow attack at his start to the sudden change that came after, the youth felt a life-and-death crisis he hadn't felt in a very long time. He didn't hesitate to quickly retreat, as this punch made his scalp tingle. He had a feeling that if he didn't retreat and was hit by this punch, even with his illusory yin cultivation, he would undoubtedly die. As the youth retreated, the celestial guard's punch exploded. The youth bit the tip of his tongue without hesitation and spat out essence blood that contained origin energy. His expression became fierce and he shouted, "Screen of Dong Lin." The essence blood exploded like water falling in hot oil. The blood mist gathered before the youth to block the puppet's punch. When the punch landed on the blood mist, a sound that shocked the entire fragment suddenly echoed across the fragment. This sound was beyond loud and the impact rapidly spread. It was as if the entire earth had 10 feet of it scrapped off by the shockwave. Large amounts of dirt flew up into the air and debris that gave off celestial spiritual energy fluctuation appeared. The blood mist dissipated and the puppet fell to the ground before retreating several more steps to steady itself. However, the golden light was completely gone and it seemed to have used all its energy. It was clear to anyone that the celestial guard's body was trembling lightly. The youth that came with murderous intent flew toward the ground like a meteor and smashed into the ground with a bang. An illusory black lotus emitting a powerful, black devilish flame appeared above him. "In 5,000 years, you're the first person to make me, Xu Fenghan." However, before he could finish speaking, there was a loud, muffled explosion from inside the mist formed by the mountain soul. There was a loud echo as the mist dissipated and the thread returned to the celestial mountain. The spear inside had lost its power and had dissipated, and the rain fell to the earth. Xu Fenghan's words were interrupted by the disappearance of the spear. As his slender figure walked out from the dust, his face was pale and was in a somewhat sorry state. His eyes were cold and were carrying a crazy amount of killing intent. "You're very good, very good." A cold voice came from his mouth and was also gnashing through his teeth. To be pushed this far by a first-step cultivator was a disgrace. He had forgotten that he came here for the pieces of treasure fragments underground. The only thing in his mind was killing Wang Lin. Wang Lin secretly sighed. It was very difficult to kill a second-step cultivator. All of the calculations and attacks were done to give the Celestial Guard a chance for that punch. If it was any first-step cultivator, they wouldn't have been able to block that attack. However, he could only injure but not kill an illusory yin cultivator who couldn't even be considered to have truly reached the second step. This person is much more powerful than the Thunder Daoist from back then. Wang Lin waved his hand and all the fragments exposed on the surface were gathered by him. Wang Lin was staring at the devilish lotus flame above Xu Fenghan's head. Xu Fenghan took a deep breath, then he pointed at the sky with this right hand and grimly said, "Even if you have that puppet, thanks to the Tao of my devil lotus that formed when I reached the illusory yin stage, you will still be reduced to ashy." Devil Lotus Tao, first rotation. When Xu Fenghan finished speaking, his devil lotus began to slowly rotate. The rotation caused the devil flame to immediately become more intense and cover half the sky. Wang Lin's expression was very serious. This was a rare chance to see a cultivator with their own Tao. The rotation of the devil lotus seemed to have replaced the world itself, It was as if the world was turning. This feeling was very unreal but also extremely real. It was as if he had become a grain of sand in the world and was being mercilessly erased by the rotation of the world. I can't let it keep rotating. Wang Lin's expression suddenly turned pale. Thunder suddenly echoed across the sky that was half covered by the black flame from the devil lotus. In an instant, an underworld river appeared in the sky. This underworld river was extremely long, as if a great river had suddenly appeared in the sky. Bursts of mournful cries came from within, making it seem as if the entire world was filled with endless resentment. The underworld river squeezed into Black Flame's territory, creating an opposing force. At this moment, the rotation of the world gradually stopped and Wang Lin revealed a serious expression. Cultivators that had their own Tao and could materialize it were terrifying. Wang Lin was very clear on this point. Xu Fenghan's eyes narrowed as he stared the underworld river and slowly said, "So you can materialize your own Tao too. You can also draw the soul from the mountain and have so many magical treasures. If my guess is correct, you are a second-step cultivator as well, but due to certain circumstances, your cultivation fell to the peak of the late stage of Ascendant. Only this explanation could prevent Xu Fenghan from feeling bad. Otherwise, he really couldn't face the fact that an Ascendant cultivator could be this strong. I believe that that puppet is your original body and this body is your clone. You must be too injured for your origin soul to return to your original body." The more Xu Fenghan spoke, the more clear his mind became and the more he was sure of his speculation. "Let us see which of our Daos is stronger." Xu Fenghan's eyes became cold and were filled with killing intent. The lotus above his head immediately began to rotate even faster. The black flame became even more monstrous to the point that it formed a wall of black flame that would make anyone's throat feel dry the moment they saw it. Xu Fenghan shouted, "Devilish flame, burn!" The flame vortex separated from the lotus and charged toward Wang Lin. The vortex rotated rapidly, creating a powerful wind that carried intense heat. This wind created a storm that closed rapidly on Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes released a golden glow. This battle was his first life and death battle since reaching the peak of the late stage of Ascendant. As the devilish flame closed in, Wang Lin raised his hand and shouted, "Second ability, Condense River Soul." The underworld river immediately trembled and all the resentment inside condensed. This resentment was too powerful. It was all the resentment Wang Lin had gathered from all the mortals on planet Qinglin. All of the resentment combined to form a monstrous amount of grievance. The monstrous resentment turned solid and charged out as shadows. Each shadow had the figure of a mortal. In an instant, countless shadows of mortals appeared in the world. At this moment, the world seemed narrow and crowded. However, the mortals formed by the resentment all fused in the blink of an eye. The result was a human-shaped resentful spirit that had no specific appearance. The resentful spirit was born from the underworld river. Just as it appeared, the underworld river wrapped around the spirit and charged at the devilish flame vortex. The resentful spirit and devilish flame vortex collided, creating an unimaginable power. At this instant, an extremely harsh sound came from the sky. The entire sky seemed to be torn by this power. The earth shook violently under the impact of the force. A crack appeared before Wang Lin and Xu Fenghan and quickly spread. It was as if the entire continent was being split in half. The resentful spirit shattered into countless strands of resentment and returned to the underworld river. The underworld river collapse. The underworld river was his Tao, and its collapse meant the collapse of his Tao. When Wang Lin felt the effect of the collapse, his expression immediately turned pale and he staggered a few steps backwards. The devilish flame's power was transmitted into the underworld river, and when the underworld river collapsed, it was transmitted into Wang Lin's origin soul. This devilish flame burned as if was going to burn the entire world. Wang Lin's face turned red, then he coughed out a large mouthful of blood and was immediately filled with killing intent. Third ability, Power of the Underworld River. Wang Lin's head jerked upward and he stared at the crumbling underworld river. His unyielding nature was revealed through his gaze. He would never yield. If his Tao collapsed, then he would reform it once more. If the underworld river collapsed, then he would reform it once more. The devilish flame was forced out through the pores in his body. The devilish flame was invisible, but then black gas rose into the air. Xu Fenghan's expression was also pale and he also took several steps backward. Although the devilish flame formed by his Tao didn't collapse, it was as if rain had fallen on it, and more than half of the flames had extinguished. Even his body was eroded by the resentful spirit from the underworld river. Luckily, his cultivation was powerful enough that he could suppress it after many attempts. If he hadn't suppressed it, it would have invaded his mind and he would have gone crazy before Wang Lin even had a chance to attack. Battles of Tao are the most dangerous. Those words are not false. For the first time, Xu Fenghan put Wang Lin on the same level as himself. Battles of Tao often shake the roots of cultivators. This was not their origin soul or their flesh but their Tao heart. The consequences of a damaged Tao heart were extremely terrifying as it was extremely difficult to recover. Xu Fenghan saw that Wang Lin's underworld river had collapsed, but at this moment, a powerful, unyielding will actually cause the collapsing underworld river to reform. This scene shocked him greatly and his eyes revealed a mysterious light. This was the first time he had seen a Tao spell like this. His eyes lit up and knew he couldn't retreat right now. This was a battle of Tao, and if he retreated, the consequences would be very serious. His right hand formed a seal and he shouted, "Devil Lotus, 100 rotations." The lotus trembled and rapidly rotated. At this moment, the feeling that the world was rotating appeared once more. This feeling was so terrifying that Wang Lin's body retreated subconsciously. He didn't want to retreat, but he had no choice. It felt like he would be obliterated by the rotating world if he didn't retreat. I have killed illusory yin cultivators before, so it's not impossible to kill another. Wang Lin's right foot stomped on the ground and his body stopped. His unyielding gaze fell directly on the underworld river. This will also contained Wang Lin's confidence. This combination of unyielding will and faith caused the underworld river to stop collapsing. A powerful suction came from within the underworld river. This suction was extremely powerful. It was as if it wanted to suck everything into the underworld river. No matter how one rotated, one couldn't escape from the suction comprehended from the intersection of two star systems. This suction was so powerful that it even caused the lotus to slow down. It was as if it was inside water, as its rotation was obstructed and slowed down. This change caused Xu Fenghan's expression to change greatly. Without hesitation, he jumped up. He was about to sit down on the lotus and use his own power to make the lotus rotate. How could Wang Lin give him that chance? Wang Lin immediately shot out. Under the suction of the underworld river, his right hand pointed into the air. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he shouted, "Karma whip." A curved line suddenly appeared between Wang Lin's eyebrows. This thin line slowly extended until it became a long whip. The moment the whip appeared, it immediately shook and gave off snapping sounds. It caused countless ripples to appear, and it was like an intangible object. It mercilessly whipped at Xu Fenghan, who was charging toward the lotus. The whip was only lashing at the air, but it mysteriously affected Xu Fenghan. His body trembled, his face turned pale, and his body paused. The karma whip attacks karma. This person's Tao heart has a flaw. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and he rushed out without hesitation. Xu Fenghan's body felt cold the moment the whip hit his body. All of the chaotic thoughts in his mind surged forth like a flood. They became an extremely chaotic existence inside his body and made him feel like he was being torn apart. His steps involuntarily slowed and even his Tao became unstable. He couldn't imagine what kind of whip this was to have such a terrifying power. At this moment, Wang Lin charged out. He didn't charge toward Xu Fenghan but toward Xu Fenghan's lotus, stealing one's spot. At this moment, Wang Lin's hair moved without any wind and his cloth flapped in the wind. His eyes were shining like lightning, and although his face was pale, he gave off an extraordinary aura. Standing on top of Xu Fenghan's Tao lotus, Wang Lin turned around. His eyes were bright as a torch as he looked at Xu Fenghan. He stood on the lotus, which was the same as standing on Xu Fenghan's Tao. Although in reality this had no effect, symbolically, it was amazing attack on one's mind. Xu Fenghan finally suppressed all the chaotic thoughts in his mind. His Tao heart had already weakened, and when he saw Wang Lin standing on his lotus, his expression immediately paled. Wang Lin didn't say a word as he coldly stared at Xu Fenghan. He waved his sleeves and actually sat down on the lotus. At this moment, the power of the underworld river became even more intense, and it instantly surrounded the lotus. Xu Fenghan had lost the battle of Tao. His expression turned pale and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. He then immediately retreated with a self-deprecating smile, and at the same time his hand formed a seal. The origin energy inside his body instantly gathered at his hands. I still have an origin spell. Origin formed devil god. Xu Fenghan's face became ferocious. He already hated this enemy, whose name he didn't even know, to the bones. Origin energy gathered in his hands, and then a black devilish flame suddenly formed between his hands. This devilish flame was like a flickering candle flame. It was as if there was a heart-devouring devil struggling inside the flame. In the blink of an eye, the devilish flame absorbed a large amount of origin energy, causing it to flash brightly and expand greatly. It gave off thick, black smoke that turned into the shape of a single-horned devil. Its appearance was similar to the scattered devil, but it was not as strong. A powerful sense of crisis appeared inside Wang Lin's heart. His right hand hit the lotus and then he jumped off it. Then his right hand pressed between his eyebrows and he charged directly toward the devil. His speed was extremely fast, and when he closed in, the third eye between his eyebrows released a powerful, red light. The red light didn't spread out but gathered. Right now he looked extremely demonic. The moment the devil it appeared, it let out a roar and bit Xu Fenghan's shoulder. It then dragged him into the air and swallowed him. After it finished devouring him, it turned its head and stared at Wang Lin. It then charged out while letting out a roar and swung its claws. The claws seemed to be tearing the heavens and earth, releasing a harsh shrill. At this moment, the veins on Wang Lin's face bulged. The third eye between his eyebrows instantly opened and released a ray of light in the shape of a fan. That devil's body was immediately exposed to the fan-shaped red light and looked as if it was becoming transparent. Even Xu Fenghan, who was like a fetus inside the devil, became visible. The moment the devilish claws closed in, Wang Lin's right hand pointed at it and he shouted, "Stop." The stop spell descended like a great force. It was as if the entire world had stopped at this moment. Although the devil recovered almost immediately, that pause gave Wang Lin an excellent opportunity. Right now the devil was completely surrounded by the red light and its body was giving off a large amount of black smoke. It let out bursts of miserable groans and its screams were extremely violent. Even Xu Fenghan, who was in a dormant state inside the devil's body, opened his eyes. Wang Lin's expression was pale. He couldn't maintain the red light from the third light for too long, because this spell used up too much origin energy. Wang Lin only kept the third eye open for 2 breaths of time before the red light disappeared. However, at this moment, Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and the celestial sword appeared in his hand. He raised the sword and it quickly fell. Heavenly chop! A thunderous roar echoed across the heavens and earth. What was chopped wasn't the flesh or power but the law of the world. At the moment the law was chopped, the spell would naturally collapse. This chop also allowed Xu Ligua to play his part. Dense ancient sword intent immediately filled the world. The celestial sword had fallen, but the devil wasn't injured at all and Xu Fenghan's eyes lit up inside the devil. However, at this moment, whether it was the devil or Xu Fenghan, neither of them moved an inch. A moment later, cracks appeared on the devil and devilish energy escaped from the cracks. After all the devilish energy dissipated, Xu Fenghan was exposed. Xu Fenghan was already dead. A trace of blood came out from the corner of Wang Lin's mouth. Killing an illusory yin cultivator was really difficult. Wang Lin put away the celestial sword and reached out toward the ground. He collected all of the shattered fragments of the treasure and quickly left. As for the devil lotus inside the underworld river, it didn't disappear for some reason. Instead, it was absorbed by the underworld river and was slowly being refined. When he noticed this, Wang Lin revealed a thoughtful expression. I wonder if the physical manifestation of Tao can be refined into a magical treasure. As he flew, Wang Lin's divine sense spread out. This battle would definitely attract some cultivators, so Wang Lin quickly flew away. Even after he was tens of thousands of kilometers away, he still didn't stop. This fragment was extremely vast, and it was far more stable than the Rain Celestial Realm. If this was the Rain Celestial Realm, this battle would have definitely caused the fragment to collapse. Wang Lin flew for 3 days before he finally saw the edge before him. At this point, he stopped and looked around. Not far away, there was a mountain filled with thunder. Wang Lin charged directly toward the mountain. He used the celestial sword to make a cave before sitting down and cultivating. During the battle with Xu Fenghan, Wang Lin used the heavenly chop and third eye, so the origin energy inside his body was consumed. However, he had devoured 2.5 bolts of celestial thunder that he had not refined but kept inside his body. He quickly refined them and recovered the origin energy he had used in the battle. In addition, this place was the Thunder Celestial Realm, so everything here, including the plants and mountains, contained thunder. This was like a holy land for Wang Lin, and cultivating here would be much faster than outside. He was like a fish in water. While cultivating, Wang Lin took out the lotus from the underworld river. The lotus was bleak, and at the moment it left the underworld river, it showed signs of dissipating. Wang Lin observed it for a moment before putting it back into the underworld river. Then he took out all the fragments he had gathered. From the fragments, he could tell that this was a vase-shaped treasure. The celestial fluctuations coming them were extremely strange. It looked like celestial spiritual energy but also not. While looking at the fragments, Wang Lin began to think. Then his eyes suddenly narrowed and he muttered to himself, could this be a shattered origin tool? At this moment, a blood-red light quickly flew through the all-heaven star system. At the end of this red light was a dark red planet. This planet was very large and gave off a very strange aura. It was impossible to determine if this aura was celestial spiritual energy, devilish energy, or demonic energy. In the end, it was extremely strange. This planet wasn't stationary but slowly moving. The red light stopped before the planet and then disappeared, exposing a person. This person had red hair, red eyebrows, and was wearing a red robe. He looked very handsome and was in his 40s. As he looked at the surrounding space and the dark red planet, a trace of melancholy appeared in his eyes. He clasped his hands and respectfully said, Yarrow Luodong's son, Yarrow Kong, returns to the family. The surroundings were completely silent. After a long time, the dark red planet suddenly stopped and a hoarse voice came from within. When your father left the family, didn't he say that no matter how many generations passed, you all would never return? Yarrow Kong let out a sigh. He really didn't want to come back to the all-heaven star system and use the all-heaven stone his father left him. However, if he didn't return to the all-heaven star system, he couldn't be at peace. All of this was for his daughter, Yarrow Shishua. This person was the blood ancestor. Just as he spoke, he was interrupted by the hoarse voice. Leave this place and go back to the Alliance star system your father chose. My Yarrow family's temple doesn't have the name Yarrow Luodong. This voice was filled with determination and resolve, and it didn't allow any to doubt or question it. The blood ancestor clenched his fist and said, Grandfather, my only daughter, Yarrow Shishua, was kidnapped from the Alliance star system and was brought here. Whether she is alive or dead is unknown. She has the blood of the Yarrow family. That hoarse voice became silent. After a long time, an ancient sigh came from it. Yarrow Shishua, the voice was very soft. After a while, it slowly said, I have calculated that she is inside the Thunder Celestial Realm. You go and bring my great-granddaughter back. Go to the Thunder Celestial Temple with my token and they will send you in. If you are late, then even they won't be able to send you into the Celestial Realm. This video will end here.